All right. Think we're rolling. Let's make sure. Hello, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Rolling? All right, great. Welcome. I guess we'll give everyone just a minute to tune in. What up, Viral? I see Richard has reclaimed his space as number 1. Super Trash Garbage is number 2, and Smadger is number 1 again. Can I stop it raining in South London? I can try. Let me know if this works. Wait. Which way is South London? That way. What is it? Age of Empires. Whoa, lo, 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 lo. Let me know how that works out for you. There's probably a delay, but that should help. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. This is the Chablet. Say hi, chat. You are the Chablet. The Chablet is you. You are within the Chablet. The Chablet is within you. How's it going, everybody? Seems like it's working. All right, we got people here. Great. Welcome. Welcome. Last time I streamed, I forgot to do the Chablet intro because I'm fucking amateur. Anyways, I thought we'd do something a little different today because why not? I wanted to do a stream where we design a music system for a game using middleware. This is, kind of the day job for me, so I thought it'd be fun to show this because there's quite a few tutorials on this stuff on YouTube, but I don't know, like if you've never used it before, it tends to not make a lot of sense. So I just kind of wanted to show a pretty straightforward workflow using FMOD, which is a reasonably popular middleware program. And I thought we would design a quick music system for this game I've been playing off and on. It's called ShatterRush. It's from a 2-person dev team. I'm not sure where they're based out of, but pretty fun game. It's kind of a Battlefield-y Titanfall. It says Titanfall-inspired successor you've been waiting 8 years for. So you run around, you shoot things. There's robots and guns. It's great. I love games like this where I can just kind of turn my brain off and blow things up. Good time, super destructible environments. We love to see that kind of stuff. And I thought we would just whip up a quick music system for it. However, I tried to play it today and there wasn't anyone playing it, so I couldn't get any gameplay footage. So we'll just use our imaginations here a little bit, but I figured I would show you the trailer of the game just so you can kind of get an idea of what it's like. I'm going to have to mute the audio because I'm sure that the song is copyrighted, but I'll play this for you. You can see what we're doing, and then we will get into it. All right. I'm going to make sure this is working. Hopefully. Okay. There is some music in the game. I also couldn't find who the composer is. There's like a title song. Don't know who did it. It's cool. I like it. Maybe it's just like stock music. I'm not sure. Maybe one of the developers did it. At any rate, this is the game. Here's the trailer with no audio, so I'll just kind of narrate. You can wall run. You shoot people. The levels, yeah, you could see like it crashes through the building and the building explodes. It's super duper fun. You can shoot the other mechs and you fight them, and it's a lot like the Finals too, I guess, which I love the Finals. I've been playing the shit out of that, and that is a phenomenal soundtrack. So right now, this has only been out for, I think, a couple months. It's very, very small. Like I said, 2-person team, but getting really, really hot reviews, which I think is great. I've seen a couple streamers play it. It's super duper fun. Great work on the developer's part. I think a 2-person team making this is fucking insane. And then if you join their Discord, every piece of feedback the community leaves, I feel like they address it, which is really, really cool to see. Like, that's pretty rare. I feel like when I see these really small indie games it starts like this, and then there's like an idea of what the game is going to be, and they just do that anyway. But this one, they really seem to listen to community feedback, which is cool. So it's in pre-alpha right now. You can get it on Steam. That should be pinned in the chat. And then through itch.io. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, AU, so Australia. Fuck yeah. Also, their website here, tetrisstudios.com/AU. You can find everything here. So that's the game. That's what I wanted to make a quick music system for. So I made just some quick stuff here in Reaper, and I'm going to show you how I would build this music system I had in mind. So in a game like this, we play... Jesus Christ, this chat thing. So you can... Oh yeah, you can watch the replay of this stream later. Sorry. You know, you run around, you shoot things, and I don't think you need music during that, but I like in the Battlefield games where towards the end of the round, there's like a track that kind of fades in to let you know, like, you know, you win, something like that. So I wanted to design something like that, but one that's a little more interactive. So I came up with this. Hopefully that's coming through. Something like that, just a hold loop as the round ends, and then I figured you would get to the scoreboard, which should transition into something else, so I have a little transition. Just kind of a hold. And then you would go back into the game, so another transition here to get you back into the game. So it's pretty basic, and you know, the music's not really anything crazy. I made this in like 45 minutes just so we could do this on the stream. So Reaper, the DAW, this is what I use when I'm making music for games, and this is what we're going to use for this session because it does some cool stuff that makes life a little bit easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I guess, just walk you through what I wanted to do. What I think should happen in this game is when the round is ending, like it's team-based, so there's a certain number of opponents, I think the track should fade in like in Battlefield, but as you eliminate more opponents, more elements should fade in, just driving the player towards, you know, the action we want them to take, which is kill the other guys. So I figured it would be based on 3 core loops. So you'd hear this first, like we're getting there, and then we'd fade this in. Now that the other team is like halfway eliminated, and when you get rid of all of them, you know, we bring this in, and then victory. Right? So that, then obviously I want to go into a hold state. So I have 2 separate stems here for the hold. I think the hold itself should be split into 2. So we have a instrumental hold, and then I separated the drums. Because I think, you know, we should maybe fade the drums out over time or something. Like there would be a reason we would fade the drums. I'm not sure what it would be. Maybe just as more players get ready for the next round. Should have mixed this a bit better, but that's fine. And then just transition. So a transition here that's going to get us from A to B. That's just a quick transition I made with UVI whoosh, damage 2, and then my pulsar 23. And then just a copy of that here with it changed a little bit. So 2 different transitions. Both of these tracks are in the same key, so I figured we can seamlessly change between them, which is important in games. And honestly, I feel like we could maybe add to this second transition the big like 808 type thing. Maybe that would sound cool here. Sure, but let's maybe make it like more bigger. That's kind of cool. How about cold fire? That usually does some cool stuff. Sure, maybe that, just like a rhythmic pulse to it. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, we can make everything a bit bigger. I agree. How about we just throw like a quick cram it on the transition bus? Oh, I'm getting audio to OBS with the OBS ACO plugin, so I'm getting the ACO information off my interface direct into OBS. I think the problem here is that there's just not a ton of like dynamic information. Maybe I could add some like punch to that impact. We could probably clean up the mix of this a bit just so there's not as much like low end. Yeah, that sounds good. All right, cool. Anyways, that's what we're going to use for our music system. So, part one of this is we need to prep everything to export. So, one fun thing Reaper does, I'm actually going to call this ending 1, ending 2, ending 3, ending 4. So that way I know what these stems are, and usually what I'll do in these sessions is I'll just color everything. So I'm just going to pick a random color for these tracks. Let's get these to be the same color. And then the transition, something else. Great. So now I can just see nice and neat. This is the session. And this is all I really need to export. And then these two tracks don't matter. Cool. So one thing that's important when you're doing game music is obviously the ability to loop things. So if you listen to, I believe it's the microtonic here, if we solo that, it's got some delays and stuff. So if I stop it, that's going to trail off for a bit. And the problem with that and with things like reverb is if I cut this here and then it loops again, we're going to miss that processing at the beginning. So it's going to sound very artificial and very loopy. But there's a really cool thing in Reaper we can do to overcome that. So I'm going to get ready to render these, and I'm going to render this to this folder. I'm going to make a new folder called FMOD, and we're going to call this ending loop. And we will export everything into there. I'm going to turn off the tail. I want to export the selected tracks, so only those 4 tracks via the mastering chain here. I want to sample 48. We'll do wave, because sure. And I'm going to name these, so we're going to call this ShatterRush track. And it's at 110 in B flat minor. So that way I know what every stem is and where it's going. So to get around that looping artifact, I can actually enable the second pass render here, which is going to render it with that tail wrapped around into the beginning. So it gives us a completely perfect seamless loop. So let's render. Now we wait. I'm going to make sure I'm not doing any normalization or anything here. Yeah, we're good. So, cool. Trailer music libraries. I don't know. Keep Forest makes really good stuff. I tend to just roll a lot of my own sounds from scratch. There is also flame sounds. Let me look up. I don't know if this is going to work on this fucking tablet. This thing's a giant piece of garbage. Oh my god, I don't want to rate the app. I just want to search something. If I can... Okay, Jesus Christ. Never mind. I'm not going to do this. If you look up Flame Sound on Gumroad, it's actually one of the writers for Bedroom Producer blog. He makes really good shit. All right, cool. Doesn't this export everything via the master, but ignoring summing of all the channels as they play? Yeah, so every channel is individually getting exported through the master bus, which just makes everything nice and clean. All right, so same thing here. I want to export this loop. So I need the hold and the hold drums. God, this fucking tablet. Oh, YouTube is updating. Of course it needs to update while I'm actively using it. Honestly, fuck Samsung tablets. This thing is terrible. Getting very tired of it. Okay, so this is not our ending loop. This is our hold loop. Hold 110. All right, great. Second pass render. Render. So we'll just let this go while YouTube figures itself out. I gotta open the stream again. I gotta reset the chat settings again. There we go. God, I hate this fucking thing. All right. Cool, loops are done. Great, so now I just need the transitions, and for the transitions, we want them to be musically aligned. So I'm gonna check this really quick. I'm gonna give that one extra bar here. All right, so I want this to export to a different folder called transitions. This is going to be, let's name this transition 1, 110, B flat minor. It's not really minor, but whatever, I don't care. Okay, render. Cool, it doesn't have any tail information, perfect. And then we're going to grab this other transition here. Let's make sure that doesn't have any long tail stuff. Okay, so I'm going to clean that up a little bit here. Let's add a filter. Just a quick kilohertz filter. Envelope. So I just want to add a filter that kind of rolls off on that. All right, it's not great, but that's fine. All right, and this is going to be transition 2. Render. Oh. I'm a dumbass, selected the wrong track. Great, great, cool. Done. Alrighty. So that should give us everything we need. Let's open up FMOD. I'm going to create a new project. File, save as, and we will save this to this. Oh, I already created an FMOD folder, right? So I'm going to call this SR FMOD session. Great. Okay, I'm going to create a new event. And this is going to be our music system. So I'm going to add a timeline sheet. And FMOD, totally free. You can download it. I recommend playing with it this weekend. It's very, very, very fun and not that hard. I just call it Fancy Ableton. So this is here in my FMOD session. All right, so let's get these going. I want to get the ending loop first. So I'm just gonna drag my stuff in here. This doesn't really need to be, it's just music. So a 2D timeline. We'll just delete this because it doesn't matter. All right, so in our events here, I'm gonna drag in, well, we need to create 4 audio tracks. So I need 1. All right, and then I need to add, let's get these other ones in. 2, 3, 4. All right. All right, so I need to add a tempo marker. We know that this is 110. So everything should sync up. We get a nice 16 bars if we hit play. Oh, Virtual Riot. What's up, dude? No, I don't do this often. I need to stream more, but who has the fucking time, man? Hope you're doing good. All right. So, like I said, what we want to do is get this to be interactive, where at the end of the round, we fade in the first track, we fade in the second track, third track, and so on. Great. So, to do that, we're going to need to do a couple things here. First, we need to automate these. So what I want to do is I'm going to turn this down and add automation. All right, cool. Now I'm going to, let's see, how do we want to do this the easiest way possible? I guess what we really want to do is add an action sheet. And man, I've been in Wise for the last couple weeks, so my FMOD is getting a little backwards in my brain. So I'm going to add automation, and what we can do here is move this like this. So it's like automation in a DAW, okay? Cool. Not that hard. So I want to add automation via a sheet, and I think I'm doing this in the wrong space, maybe is what's going on here. I'm just going to name this music system. Whoops. God damn it. All right. Because I also want to add some stuff to the master track, would be ideal. So let's add a couple pre-fader effects here to get us going. I think I'm going to want a reverb and an EQ so I can control this with a filter. Yeah, because I kind of want to filter things in and reverb them in. I think that would be the nice way to do this. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to add a new parameter, and we're going to call this ending state. And we'll do from 0 to 1. That should be fine. So our ending state here, is what we're going to use to control this. So in the ending state from 0 to 0.25, I guess, would be the best way to do this. I want this to go up to 0. Same thing here, add automation, add a curve from ending state. So 0.25-ish to 0.5, give or take, something like this. Great. Add automation, add a curve from ending state, so 0.5-ish to 0.75, give or take. Great. Audio 4, add automation, add curve, ending state, 7.5 up to, I guess, here should sound pretty smooth. All right, so as we can see, as I scroll through this ending state, these move up in order. So we're playing the game. Nothing is happening. I do need to add a loop, just because I want this to loop over and over. So we're getting closer. Great. A couple more players get eliminated. Cool. That works well enough. I think we could do a couple other things here. I think we could probably start this one off with a reverb. So I want this to be from here to about here. And I want to automate the wet level of the reverb from the ending state. So I want that to start at 0. And I want to add a curve to this, so it should be pretty smooth. Yeah, that sounds good. FMOD and accessibility, I have no idea. Maybe. Actually, let's bring that reverb back. All right, cool. So that's going to be our ending state. So now I have a parameter sheet here, which is basically the same type of view, just a little easier to look at and understand because I can see the scroll bar here. So we can just finagle things to be a little bit more precise. So I think we'll also have the multi-band EQ on the master here. I'm going to start this from like 500 hertz and fade it up to about here. Should sound good. cool. I think that works. So I'm going to hide all this because we don't need it. And that's going to be our main chunk of music. So, why don't we start bringing in our next chunk here. So I'm going to set up a transition region. What this does is it tells FMOD based on something else to go to another place. So over here, I'm going to add a destination marker, and we'll call this hold loop. And I want this transition here to have a destination of hold loop. I want to add a condition. I'm going to add a parameter condition, create a new parameter called hold time. Okay, and I only want this to transition at a value of 1. So if I do this, jumps over. Perfect. So musically, we could probably quantize this to like a quarter note. So at the next quarter note, it'll start that transition. Maybe a half note would be a little smoother. We can play with it more and find out. All right, cool. So in our assets here, I'm going to bring in our hold, which is just 2 loops. So I'm going to add 2 new audio tracks. This is our main hold. So we can move over here and see everybody. And this is our hold drums. Great. So I'm going to set up a loop once again. Great. So same thing, I'm going to do hold drums here, and I'm just going to fade these in to 0 dB. Should probably have a... Cool, so let's try that out. You can hear there, bang on, perfectly in time. Sweet. So now we need to set up our transitions. So I'm going to grab these. Transition 1 was the one we were using to this. So now what we can do is in this loop transition marker or transition region, you can see here I can open up this new section and I can put a transition in there. So I'm going to add an audio track here. And I'm going to call this transitions. So I'm going to punch this into here. And it's going to be a little bit weird. So I'm just going to move this over. And then we can quantize everything to snap right where we want it. So we know the transition here takes a bar to get into. So I'm going to move this stuff. And what I'm doing is dragging, the tail of everything to meet this point. And now I'm going to drag this playhead back so that it lines up exactly on that transition. Make sense? If not, it will in just a second here. So, cool, right? So now that's, boom, perfectly bang on the money. We could even fade this in if we wanted over like a bar. That might sound a little more pleasing. And maybe we fade this out for half a beat so that we really get like a fuck ton of punch from that transition. So let's try that out. Dope. All right, so that's transitions in FMOD. Very, very neat stuff. Now we need a transition to the, I guess, new round. I don't know what we want to call it, so I'm going to add a destination marker, new round. I'm going to add a transition region. Same type of logic here. So it can transition at any point during this region, because we don't know, like, we don't want this to play the whole thing. We want it to, you know, feel like it's responding to the game. So once again, we set up our destination. I'm setting this to a new round. I'm adding a condition. I'm going to add a new parameter, call this new round. And I only want it to go there when it has a value of 1. So it's just like, is there a new round? It's go time. Go. Cool. Let's line that up nice and neat. So transition here. So if we do this right now, that doesn't sound very good. So what we want to do is, once again, just line this up to where it's going to sound nice. So we can see we have 1 bar of pre-roll here. So I'm just going to pull this back so it lands nice and neat on there. We can try pulling this forward, and let's see how that sounds. So messy, but we can just move it back. Not sure how I feel on that. Let's bring in the drums. Yeah, that could work. Maybe we'll do the same thing just so that impact has a little more weight to it. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So with this transition, it's going to be instant. And with this transition, it's going to happen at a musical interval of time. So why don't we test out our system here? And I mean, fuck, that's pretty much the stream in 30 minutes. I just wanted to show how easy this is. Maybe we could make some other music bits here to play with this. What do you think about not using any grid in your DAW? I mean, I do that all the time. Just depends on what the track is. Okay, so what we've accomplished is, in the game, towards the end of the round, as you eliminate the other players, we want the end of round music to kind of feel like it's interactive. As more players are eliminated, let's say an arbitrary number of 10, for every, you know, 2 players, we bring in a new track or something like that. So we're playing the game, pew, 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 blah, 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 blah. We start eliminating. There's only 8 left, so we can fade this in to 0.25. Pew, pew, pew. 1 more's down. Come on, Sarah, hit him. Oh, you got him. All right, good job. And then we go up to 0.5. Cool, and then Tommy, get the other guy. Okay, and then we get up to 0.75. All right, guys, only a couple more. Ba, 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 ba. And then there's like 2 people left. All right, we got him, team. Pew, pew, pew. All right. Ah, kick him. Punch him. Grenade. Ah, fuck. All right. And cool, we did it. All right. Good job, everybody. Now we're waiting. We're in the lobby checking out our scoreboard. All right, good job. Tommy, you fucked up. Your KD's shit. Sarah, you carried the team. All right, and then maybe over, I don't know, over some period of time, perhaps we fade in the drums, like just over the course of like 10 seconds or something. So we're in the hold. All right, good job, everybody. Blah, 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 blah. Are we gonna play again? Yeah, all right. Tommy, you gotta go. All right, yeah, I know, mom's calling. You should really get a job and get out of your mom's basement, dude. All right, fuck you, whatever. Later, nerd. And then, all right, new round. Is everybody ready? All right, hit start. Cool. Into the new round we go. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the music system I would do for this game. Like, it's pretty simple. So that's fun. Maybe we could add a, I don't know, like a local control for players or something, like low health. So maybe that's what we can use these master effects for. So I'm going to add another EQ here. And I'm going to automate this with a new parameter called low health. And it's going to go from fully open down to, I don't know, 700 hertz. So add automation to the reverb. The dry level turns down like 10 dB. The wet level gets a curve from low health that increases it. So maybe 700 hertz is a little low. Sure, that could work. So if you're playing the game and you're towards the end of the round, you're like halfway there, and you start taking a bunch of damage, you know, and then you gotta heal. The problem with that control is that's pretty instantaneous. So in the game, we would just be looking at, is the player low health, like below 30, which would be yes or no, just a binary toggle. So in this case, that would sound weird to jump like 0 to 1. So I'm going to add some parameter smoothing here. So I can change the seeking speed. So you can see that little yellow ball, which like slows it down over time. But the if you heal yourself, it should be faster. So we'll do asymmetric, and descending will make it faster. That sounds good. Cool, so we have a low health. Yeah, I don't really know what else we would add to this. Do you do private sound design classes and courses? No, but I do have a couple of courses on my Gumroad, just about like game music stuff and whatever. Harmonic changes depending on the game state. We could... I don't know, though. That might get kind of complicated. What we could maybe do is add some extra stuff into this. It's already pretty full. If we take a look at the Reaper session... I could maybe bring this ARP in. This little, like, bloopy thing. So why don't we do that? What we could do here is... It doesn't matter. I'm going to call this SR loop bloop 110 B flat minor. I'm going to export this into, we'll just call this other render. So in here, I think what we could add is our little bloop loop. And I'm going to add a new audio track for this here. Let's move this up. The bloop loop. So one thing we could do, I'm just going to let this... I'll loop this here. So what I'm thinking could happen is we have these, and then we have some probability. So I'm just going to say that there's a 50% chance of this event occurring. And that should, yeah, it carries over into each of these. So now every time this plays, there's a 50-50 chance that each of these bloop loops will play on top of it. So let's say our ending state is like 0.1 or 0.25, like the first layer. You know, something like that, and we could just add like a fade. So maybe we'll increase the probability of the next one. Just kind of some random probabilities to each of these. So that way, if you're stuck in the hold state for a long time, you know, it kind of evolves more. So let's add a curve to the ending state. I want this to be here and do the same thing. So now it's going to respond to that end state, which we can see in the ending state sheet as well. So that's kind of fun. Keep increasing. What synths did I use? Let's see. This Behringer Edge right here. The drone is Polybrute 12. These... that's either Pulsar or Edge. The bass is Novation Summit. These are Contact, Damage 2, and Microtonic. These are from Steven Slate Drums, whatever the free one is. This is also the Summit. And then I used Synapse, the Legend, for the hold loop. You know, nothing too crazy. Then that's pretty much it. And then for the transition, this part was made with the Pulsar. That's the Legend again. This is Damage 2. And then this thing, that's UVI Whoosh with just a custom preset I designed. All right, what else could we do to this? I mean, that's kind of it. It's a pretty simple game. I don't think you need much more than that. When you deliver an FMOD file to the client, is it all self-contained file or is it a bunch of dependency-related stuff? It's basically like delivering them a DAW session with the stem so you can compile everything down and it'll, you know, package it together so then they can pull that into Unity with FMOD Unity plugin or add-on, whatever it's called. So, yeah, I mean, you deliver it and it's all kind of self-packed. If I delivered them this, then I would have to deliver them this and then also all of these extra folders. But when you bake, you know, when you like bake it down, it rolls everything into just a big pile of stuff. So, I mean, we could do some more probability things, but I don't know if we really need to. I think this sounds pretty good. I guess we could, maybe in the hold loop here, I could do this, and I could increase the pitch by an octave. Something like that, which is going to double the speed. I don't know if that might sound cool. coming in just kind of randomly. Let's see. Sounds very Grand Theft Auto. That's actually kind of cool. I wish that had some, yeah, like a delay would be kind of fun on that. Just like a really weird sort of out of time. That's kind of fun. So I can hear that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. The hold, I guess I would maybe make these base hits a little more randomized. So I'm going to do that. Render. Oh, whoops. All right. Render. Go. Oh. Whoops, I took the wrong track out of the folder. Okay, render again. Go. So this way we just have kind of the bloopy loop thingy. And it's going to render the second pass, so it has the tail wrapped around. And now we're going to render this separately, which will be hold base, render. Leo, what's going on, man? Cool. Cool. That's going to render, do the pass. Great. So now, why don't we dress this up a little more? So I'm going to add a new audio track. Here, let's bring in our assets. So hold loop. I need the hold new, hold ew. Hold new and hold base. So hold base is going to go here, and then hold new will go here. And then what I think we can do is I'm just going to split these. And then, yeah, I mean, very, very similarly, I'm just going to change the probability. So the first one I want to always happen. So I guess technically it doesn't need probability. Second one, 50-50. Third one, maybe like a 70% chance, like more than likely. And then the last one, also 50-50. So now, when you get into the hold loop of the game, you know, and then that thing could come in, we fade in the drums over time. Cool, new round. Oh, whoops. That's implemented very, very poorly. There we go. That's a smarter way of doing that. This is on the wrong track as well, because I'm a dumbass. So let's move these down here. And then I can copy an effect, paste an effect, get rid of the effect because I don't want the delay on the transition. Move this up. This is new game. So that should make a lot more sense. Perfect. I'm not sure I like... Not sure if I like that or not, but let's give it a try. And then maybe that's it. Maybe that's the stream. And we'll do some questions. All right, so end of game. We're playing. Couple enemies eliminated. Couple more eliminated. We're almost there. We're doing it, team. Bring it up. Almost done. Get him again. Last guys are down. 2 more to go. All right. Almost got him. 1 more to go. All right. And then we got him. We're in the hold. Those drums kind of like slowly work their way up. All right. So we're waiting. Still waiting. People are loading in or something. All right, is everyone ready? We're ready. New round. Cool. Neat. Oh yeah, the low health thing. I forgot. So it's not hold time. Heal. Okay. That low health could be better. But I'm not worried about it because this was literally just for a stream. Cool. Should we do some question time? Maybe? Boom. All right. Neat. Who are you and why am I here? These are the questions. Yeah, I am me, and we are reality experiencing itself subjectively, right? And you're here because I'm here. And I'm always watching Wazowski. Cool. Any other questions I missed? Not really. That's pretty much it. Yeah, I guess, does anyone have any burning questions they want to know about? How often are you asked to implement audio in game? Not super duper often. Generally, my implementation ends in middleware where, like, I will open FMOD or Wise and, like, build the thing, and then I will just record a video explaining to the programming team how I want it to work and what these controls are meant for. That's pretty much it. Sometimes I've done like more direct implementation, but not really my specialty. So I tend to leave that to the people who do that much better. But, you know, I'll design, the music system, or if we're not using middleware, like if it's direct in Unity or Godot or whatever, I will kind of build like a test session to, you know, where it's like, if you walk from here to here, the music changes and does this. So I'll do very basic stuff like that, but I'm pretty hands off with like the real programming just because it's not my super duper area of expertise. I'm trying to get better at it. I've been playing with Godot a bit, building some like shitty games in Godot to learn implementation more directly. But usually for me, it's just I make middleware sessions and design the music system, and then the audio people or the programming people finish it out. Because if they're working in middleware and stuff too, then the way my project is set up is different than the way their project might be set up. So it gets really complicated. So very much it depends. But I don't really do a ton of like super ultra direct implementation because coding is not my specialty. Can you do fun stuff like automating tempo or something? Yeah, but it does get really gross. Because like time stretching artifacts and whatever, like it's not really meant to do things like tempo ramps, but there are some kind of hacky workarounds. I've never really done it. If I need to get to a new tempo, I will just add like one big session and then in the DAW automate the tempo, because if you slow down the tempo in FMOD, it's kind of instant and sounds really yucky, so I tend to not do that. Favorite video game score? God, fucking Battlefield 4, man. God damn it, I love that soundtrack so much. Outside of that, I don't know, the OG Splinter Cell Blacklist too goes fucking hard. Ghost Recon Wildlands, love that one. And then I guess outside of that, No Man's Sky was phenomenal. I really like that one. And then Dying Light 2. It's very good music, but I think the most impressive part of Dying Light 2 is the interactive audio implementation. Olivier's got some videos on his YouTube channel. If you search Dying Light 2 Wise, W-Wise, all one word, he has some videos kind of like what we did here where he explains the Wise system and how it all triggers. It's incredibly fucking inspiring. What non-musical things have been inspiring you lately? I don't know. I haven't been doing much besides music, as you could tell by the lack of YouTube videos and me being a hermit. This book I've really been liking. Black Mirror and Philosophy, Dark Reflections by William Irwin and David Kyle Johnson from the Blackwell Philosophy and Pop Culture series. I recommend it. It's very fun. Haven't watched Black Mirror much, though, so half the episodes it talks about I haven't seen, but some fun stuff. Would you change the mix for in-game versus a streaming release? Yeah. In-game, especially something like this, lots of gunshots and sound effects and, important information that we might be hearing. So I might make the drums a little less punchy in this one. Like I might compress the drums a little bit more to get them out of the way, but also in the, I guess I can show you here. If I was doing this and, we needed things to be out of the way of each other, there are some more fun things we can do. So like I could add a compressor here and I can have a sidechain input. So in the events, if I make a new event sheet, bullets, let's just, give me one sec. This truly doesn't matter. What sounds like a gunshot? Okay, that. Whatever. Let's say that's a gunshot. So I'm just gonna render this out. So, gunshot. So don't need the second pass render. Go. So, where did that render to? Other? No? Fuck. I think gunshot. Yep. So assets. This is going to be a gunshot. Add audio track with a gunshot. So, you know, bear in mind that this would be much more, I don't know. Okay, so I'm randomizing the pitch of that bullet a little bit. And let's add a... This is going to be super ugly. This is not at all how this would work, but you'll get the idea. So I'm going to create a nested event instrument here. And I want to... Actually, what's the better way to do this? This is hard because, like, this is not at all what you would do. I guess a command instrument? Maybe, I'm not really sure. I want the bullet to happen, and I want a parameter condition called shoot. When one. So sure. I think you can see where I'm going with this, but yeah, this isn't going to work at all. Anyways, what I'm trying to show here is that we can sidechain stuff. So, you know, mixing wise, there's a lot of options as well for that to make sure audio isn't stepping on other audio. Do you have a structure for when you build these to start the flow? There's a lot of variables and scenarios. Yeah, but basically what I do is, like, I'll sit down with a sheet of paper and a pen and just write out, like, the gameplay flow. So in this instance, we've already gone over this, but, like, you know, I know that, like, all right, I'm not gonna do this because I'm making a fucking mess of everything here. But yeah, I'll just take a pen and paper and write out the gameplay flow. So, like, I play the game. There's the start screen that has music, like menu music. Great. When we start a round, there's like a transition. There's like a loading page where we pick our gear and shit. That might need music. Then we transition into the game. During the game, the gameplay loop is run, kill opponents, die. And then when enough opponents are killed, we win. When we win, we go into you know, menu screen that shows like our stats from the gameplay round, and then we would go into a new game or exit. So, you know, that would be the branching flow of everything. I would write all this down, mark down where I want music, and that way I would know, you know, music is here, music is here, music is here. How do I get from here to here to here to here? And what does that music do? And then if it's interactive music, you know, like we have here, I know that towards the end of the gameplay loop, I want music to fade in. I don't want all the music to fade in, though. I want some music to fade in, and I want it to get progressively more intense as your team wins the round. So in this case, that's what we did in this session here, where it fades in these 4 levels of intensity as we, you know, complete the thing. Yeah, but it's very, very easy to get lost, to your point. Like, it's just, I try and plan as much in advance as I can, so that way when I start writing the music, I know exactly what I'm writing it for, and I know the structure I need to write in, so that I can build this to, you know, put it in the game. Glad people aren't giving up making great games. Yeah, no, ShatterRush here, shit like this is so cool to see, man, where it's like, it's 2 people, and then I think maybe a couple contractors or something building this game that's like, it's really fucking fun. Like, that's so cool to me. And then the game I'm currently working on, Don't Look at Grandma, which comes out later this month, you know, that's one guy effectively, and then some contractors he hired, myself included, to flesh out the game. But like, one person can build a game that's like fun and cool. Like, you don't need a gajillion dollar budget. It's super neat. I wish I knew how to develop games. Like, I'm so jealous of that. I think that shit's so cool. Waiting for Godot. Yeah, Godot's cool. I could show you my game I made in Godot the other night, but I don't know if it even works anymore. I think I broke it. The dog synth. Working on it. Yeah, I think my next project is going to be sampling the Summit, and then we'll see how that goes from there. Advice for people doing game music for the sync side of game music. Not really. Just make your stuff available, be easy to find, and be easy to contact. Social media is very, very powerful to promote your work. I mean, I guess that's kind of it. Red Dead 2 score for that. Yeah, Red Dead 2 is cool. There's a really fun video for Red Dead Redemption 1 where they talk about how all the music in the game is in the same key, and it like can generatively fade in different elements, kind of like we did here with probability, so that like the soundtrack is generative as you play, which I think is super, super fun. Expedition. I haven't played Expedition 33 yet, but I've heard really, really good things. The small white door behind you on your right, that goes into the attic, because I'm in a above garage room here. So behind there's my attic, which is another room about this same size, but back there. In-person class last month. More of those in the near future. Maybe. I did some guest speaking recently. I went to ISU back in Illinois. I spoke at... where else did I speak this year? Soundtrack Cologne in Germany. I was at Superbooth hanging out. I'm speaking at a couple colleges again next year, but in-person events are hard. I don't tend to do them a lot, but I'm thinking of doing a class where it's like a live class, kind of like this, but it would only be maybe for like 20 people, where my plan was like maybe a 6-month timeline, where for 6 months I teach you kind of my creative process and formulas for writing music, and then talking about turning into music for media and turning it into music for games or something like that. I haven't really decided. I just don't have the time to plan that right now. All right, I think that's it. I want to start freelancing music and SFX for video games. How do I build a strong portfolio if I've never worked on a real game? I mean, you could do sound design redesigns. I see a lot of people do that, where they'll clip part of a movie and then just mute the audio and then redesign all the sound for a scene. That seems to be really popular. Marshall McGee did that on his YouTube channel quite a bit, where he there was one he did, Elden Ring, I think, where he talked about how like he didn't like the spell sound effects for Elden Ring, so he made new spell sound effects. You could totally do something like that on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, what have you. That's probably the best way to build a portfolio, honestly. I mean, that's how I think of my YouTube channel, is like I have a portfolio that gets, however many views a month or whatever. Doing something like that, I think, would be well worth your time. Does the director help at all? Something like a spotting session for a film. For game music, I mean, generally when I'm doing a video game, it's kind of like they just say, here's the idea. What music do you think fits? Or they'll say like, here's some reference music we have that we think it should sound like. Do something like that. And then, that's pretty much as much involvement as there is, unless the game director has like a very specific vision. Generally, it's pretty much like, here's what I'm thinking, go. What synth I should buy? Something poly. The Summit's fucking great. It's a nice, like, all-rounder, very poly. Analog Polybrute, the OG, like, Polybrute 6 is kick-ass. Polybrute 12 is fucking incredible. Honestly, though, like, just for, like, not a whole lot of money, the Arturia Mini Freak is very, 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 very good. It's bitimbral, polyphonic. It's got aftertouch, tons of different engines. It's got built-in effects. The like dice thing is pretty fun. The whatever they call it, spice and dice or whatever the hell. The arpeggiator is neat. It has a plugin counterpart now, so you can like use it as a librarian or a controller for it. Yeah, the Mini Freak is hard to beat, man. It really is. I don't know if there's anything else in that price point. Maybe the Micro Korg 2. I think that's been expanded with like different stuff. Yeah, I mean, either one of those I think it'd be pretty hard to go wrong with. Game music for old computers like the Amiga use music trackers. Ever used one? I've used the Polyend tracker, but I've never used like a tracker, like a proper computer-based tracker. I've maybe thought about it a few times, but just don't have the free time. How different are stuff you like listening to from stuff you like making? Pretty different. I mean, my listening taste is pretty broad. I just kind of try and absorb through osmosis and just listen to like as many different things as I can. What I like making, I don't know. I think it's similar in some ways and different in others, but I think that's just kind of like the aesthetic taste of what I enjoy doing. All right, I think that's all the questions. Yeah, does anyone else have a burning question they want answered? Because I think I'm going to go eat dinner. If not, that was a much quicker stream, but thought it might be useful. Again, FMOD, let me grab the link to it here for everybody. This is FMOD. You can download it for free and play with it. You could watch this stream again and, you know, kind of follow along. There's a couple really great tutorials on YouTube. Let me find one of them here. If you look up Shaped by Rain Studios, I'll put this in the chat here. There's a video from them called Learn FMOD in 25 minutes. Highly recommend watching it. So you can, you know, learn how to do this yourself in like a long weekend. FMOD is very, very easy. I always say it's fancy Ableton, and this is why. Like, it's very much like working in a DAW. Wise, on the other hand, is significantly more complicated. I wouldn't recommend it. How do you deal with the amount of noise that you get when using all the hardware? Cleve Grand Bruce Free, BRUSFRI, I think is how it's spelled. Great intelligent denoiser. You only need like, you know, a little blip of noise to capture a profile and it's, you know, gone. Yeah, Cleve Grand Bruce Free rules. That's pretty much my denoiser for everything. What are you going to eat for dinner? We have a pot pie in the oven from Aldi. I'm very, very excited for it. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. Sounds like everyone's got their questions answered. Hopefully that was fun. I know it was a shorter stream, but I had a good time. And hopefully this gives you some ideas in your head to play with this weekend. I think designing interactive music systems is very, very, very fun. And it's not that hard. It's a new skill you can learn in a weekend. And, you know, if you live anywhere near like a city or something, join a game jam. You know, help someone out make the soundtrack for their video game. Now you know the basics of doing it. Maybe I'll do another stream at some point where we get a little more advanced with it. But hopefully that was fun and informative. I think it's neat stuff. The game, again, here. Let's get this up. Doink. ShatterRush. It's on Steam. It's neat. This was the game the music was for. You know, inspired by, I guess. You play it. You blow holes and shit. It's by Tetra Studios out of Australia. 2-person dev team. Pretty fucking neat. So, yeah. Guess that's it. I'm going to go eat some dinner, and I will see you later, I guess. Yeah? All right. Cool. Bye, everyone.